Welcome back to Blaster Master. We got more power-ups. This whole area is kind of a pain to get around.
It's probably my least favorite area in the game, I would have to say. I think...
Yeah, it's a lot of spikes and a lot of just boring brownish color.
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing about...
Off cam.
I'm sorry. Before we started the part, viewers, Ted was just whining about James Joyce being terrible. And the last thing...
He is terrible.
The last thing anyone said before we started recording was Ryan talking in the person of James Joyce about his cuckolding fetish.
You see,
Well, he does.
You see, I didn't actually pick up on that when I had him in class, so that was new to me.
Well, it helps that I took him in college.
That's true, yeah, where you're allowed to talk about that kind of stuff. Like, because I had to read Moby Dick in college. Fun fact, Moby Dick is a fun book to talk about, but a terrible book to actually, like, read. Because there's so much homoerotic subtext in that book, like, to the point where they have to...
Well, I mean, his ship is long, hard, and full of semen.
Yeah, that's... I mean, but literally, though, there's an entire chapter where Ishmael goes into excruciating detail about squishing all of the oil out of sperm whale sperm so that they can get, like, money, because that's what they did. They were whalers. So,
oh, no.
They're whalers on the moon.
Him and Queequeg are married. I'm very happy for them. You know, like I'm not even joking. Like, they do some sort of... oh, man, I'm misremembering the specifics, but there's, like, some argument to be made that Queequeg and Ishmael are, like, actually married. And, you know, like, I'm happy for them. Queequeg's a bro. It's a shame that Melville just completely forgot he existed by the second half of the book, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Actually, thinking about it, a lot of authors forget about their best characters halfway into the book because
They stop being useful to the plot. Yes.
Yeah. What's its face?
I am so dead.
Yeah.
Just kill me.
Artful Dodger in Oliver Twist, like, he's the most fun character in all versions of that story, like book, play, or whatever. And then they just, like, forget that he exists partway through the movie because, oh, right, the actual bad guy is the incredibly anti-Semitic Jewish guy who runs the Thieves Guild, and we don't need this one specific thief to bring Oliver to the Thieves Guild anymore. So you're just not going to be there, I guess. So, meh.
They didn't have the same kind of writing conventions back then, and they also probably did not have as much in terms of, you know, editorial advice.
Come on, Jason, you can take him.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Charles
Dickens.
Yeah, when it comes to Dickens in particular, he was paid by the word, so he wrote things badly on purpose to get more money.
The curtains that were blue. The blue curtains that are hanging on the wall, those blue curtains. Dorothy's curtains.
He wrote novels the way I wrote history papers.
Yeah.
George Washington was the first president of the United States. As first president of the United States,
George Washington.
Yeah, you know, actually, wait, hold on, I can do better. As first president of the United States of America, George Washington. There we go. That's gonna get me to 8 pages double spaced in no time.
Man.
Oh yeah, I thought this part was clever, where you actually have to fight the boss as Tiny Jason, or at least do a puzzle with him there in order to get your tank so you can fight the boss.
You're talking about, like...
I'm a fire in my laser!
You're talking about writing badly on purpose to make more money because he was paid by the word, and all I can think of... I forgot about that meme. But speaking of memes, all I can think of is really bad YouTube video essays where they say they have a point that they're going to get to, and they spend the entire video talking about how they're going to get to their point really soon.
That's the whole point of the thesis statement, is to get your point out there as soon as possible so that you can, like, then justify it.
But they're doing it to lengthen the video so that they can make more ad revenue, you see.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's if you're making your YouTube video, whatever you call it, you know, you need to have the thesis in, like, the first couple minutes. Otherwise, people are gonna... Because otherwise, nobody's gonna want to watch your 40-minute video.
Yeah, and then
it's your boy YouTuber XDX69XDX.
And they spend half the video repeating the same thing about the same character. Such a
And
video.
this is
expose
why
me.
Rey is the worst thing to ever happen to Star Wars. I shall explain why in about a half an hour. But first, please look at this link to my SoundCloud. I have my new podcast episode coming up next week, where we shall talk about why Rey is the worst thing to happen to Star Wars.
Yeah, we're now in the mutant hideout. Ooh.
Excellent.
It's like a big tuma.
Okay.
You know what? This game is
this-
bullshit. I haven't seen a signal Magneto in this entire thing, and it's been
Or
like,
Iceman. Or Wolverine.
doesn't even. No, wait, no. I think they had Iceman in like one of the in like First Class or.
Iceman, or that time they made Iceman gay to try to be progressive, even though it didn't add anything to his character.
Wasn't he like the guy that Rogue had a crush on in the first X-Men movie?
Maybe I don't. Honestly, most of the X-Men movies I don't think are very good. Like even
They're kind of not. Like, even the good ones are just kind of hokey, but they get by on having some really good actors and some decent writing.
I think First Class is a legitimately good movie.
Yeah, First Class I think is a great movie, but like even X1 and 2 I don't think have aged particularly well. Like
They've aged about as well as the Raimi movies. They're kind of schlocky fun for the time they were in.
I think that you know what, I'm actually not sure if Raimi Spider-Man or X-Men has aged
let me put
better.
it this way. I think Spider-Man 1 has aged worse than the first two X-Men movies, but Spider-Man 2 has aged better than X1 and 2.
You see, I always liked Spider-Man 1 more than Spider-Man 2 because
Spider-Man 1's problem is just that visually it is aged so poorly.
Yeah, but Spider-Man 2's problem is that Tobey Maguire can't act to save his life.
It's true.
Yeah, but you make up for it with Pat Molina.
I mean, I guess that's true, and I will agree that, you know, I love him, you know, bless his heart, but, you know, Green Goblin...
The fact that
Green
he
Goblin.
can't act, though, really swung home the patheticness of his suave phase in Spider-Man 3.
Okay, man, look.
Oh no, no, Lewis, have you seen the edits where they add a Spider-Man 3 dancing Peter with Joker from the new trailers for that movie?
Wait, what? Oh,
Have you seen the trailers for the Joker movie?
yeah, I have.
Yeah, their edits have they added in the emo dancing Peter from Spider-Man 3.
It's appropriate.
Other stuff. Yeah.
Man. All I'm getting about the new Joker movie though is like people talking about how amazing it is, and people talking about how terrible that it is that it's amazing.
It's one of those movies. There's no other
It's
way
like
to put
I
it.
haven't heard anyone say it's bad. I've just heard people say that it's good, and I've heard people
And
say
people complaining that it's good.
and people say that it shouldn't be good because they don't want to sympathize with the Joker.
I mean, okay, to be fair, to play devil's advocate for a moment,
I
the
get
Joker isn't really supposed to be a character you're supposed to sympathize with.
Yeah.
So I get it, like, and
But,
that's
like-
honestly one of the problems I have with the Killing Joke is that it's a book that's designed to be pointless. So why did I read it? You know, other than to have Barbara Gordon lose her legs.
The Killing Joke is most interesting in the context of the time, where you didn't really have serious comic book stories of that type. Very
You
much.
had Dark Knight Returns, but that's a glorified Elseworlds tale. So it didn't need to reflect what was going on with like the in continuity quote unquote stuff.
Well, Killing Joke was also supposed to be non-canon. They just made it canon
Yeah,
because
but-
it was so popular.
Yeah, but Killing Joke basically made Joker as a character work.
Yeah.
Because back then, Joker was just basically the Filmation versions of him, where he's just like, I'm a kooky clown and I rob banks, ho ho ho.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but kooky clowns that rob banks are fun.
There's an amusing flashback of sorts on Harley Quinn's part, where she reflects on how grumpy the Joker would get when he remembers his like kooky era stuff.
Yeah.
And there was this story about how one of his like comedy sidekicks comes back and tries to supplant Harley Quinn as the current sidekick. It's the stories where they compare current Joker to old Joker are something to behold. I'll say that.
I think they're still working on like the three Joker stuff.
Wait, why are there 3 Jokers?
Because they wanted to explain why the hell he's like so different every time he shows up.
Because he's a
whether
nut.
like,
Because
murdering
he's a crazy
he's
clown.
well, because it's like sometimes he's a murderous psychopath, other times he's a kooky clown. Robbing
Okay,
things and
this
stuff.
is how it goes. Okay, there was this one occasion where Batman had the opportunity to basically, test drive a god's omniscience. So he was allowed to ask a question, and the question he asked was, "Who is the Joker? Who is the Joker?" And the answer he got was, "There are 3 Jokers."
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, he basically the response he got from the monitor share was basically which one.
Yeah. Um. So that was a thing, and
Yeah. And then
comic
Batman Who Laughs happened, and it gets weird.
comics are stupid.
Yes.
Remember that time Batman became a caveman?
Yes. No, I prefer Pilgrim Batman.
What?
Yes,
Is
that's
this-
real.
Is this
Worth a
Silver Age
Google.
stuff or?
No. Oh no. This is recent. This is right before New 52.
Yeah,
Oh.
this is like less than 10 years old.
They were.
Yeah.
They were
this was-
reaching about that time. Yeah.
Yeah. This was the Grant. This was during the Grant Morrison run where Dick Grayson was Batman.
Oh.
Yeah, because I remember.
they thought Bruce was dead, but the thing was that was going on. He was involuntarily time traveling everywhere.
See, the only.
So he kept leaving clues to his whereabouts in time. So he was like Batman. He was like Pilgrim Batman and Pirate Batman and.
Yeah, it's. I remember it got people upset because they had just made Dick Grayson Batman, and like at the end of the same issue, they have him. It's like, oh, Bruce isn't actually dead, so it like completely invalidated that decision. Which
Although the Morrison run of Dick Grayson as Batman is really good.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's just it was a bad way to introduce it.
Well, it's kind of
Yeah.
like the female Thor. The female Thor has cancer, so she's not going to be around forever. But
I have not read Female Thor,
It's-
so I've only read a little bit of Thor, to be honest. I read a little bit of J.
it's
Michael
very
Straczynski's Thor.
okay. Like it's
It was the best one to come out of Marvel's really forced diversity thing at the
Nah,
time.
Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, I think is.
Oh yeah, you're right,
yeah,
Miss Marvel.
Well, Miss Marvel was Miss Marvel because Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel. So
Yeah,
that one had more of a reason to happen.
Well, I mean, the only one that I think people straight up didn't like was when they changed Iron Man. Like, I think that was the only one people didn't like.
That was
Yeah, because she was such a nothing character.
a bit weird. Yeah, like why bother?
Because they were doing it with everybody. I hope, maybe I think they said something about wanting to get Natalie Portman in to do female Thor, which, I mean, would be interesting, but I think I'm surprised that she wants to be back, considering that she had plot-relevant stuff going on in Endgame and didn't want to be in that movie, so they had to reuse footage from Thor 2 that never made it onto the screen in order to get that to work, so... And you can kind of tell that they did that too, because considering where Thor is at that point in the story, it would make sense for him to talk to her. Also, I just kind of want to see Fat Thor crying in front of his ex-girlfriend, because I thought that would be funny. So yeah. Although getting him to hang out with his mom, who was also the best part of Thor 2, is pretty good, I suppose, as well.
I like the design of female Thor, but the comics that I read had a tendency to be overly preachy, so I wound up falling out. It's kind of the same issue I eventually had with the 13th Doctor, where
Is that the current one?
the current one, yeah. She's only had one season. Maybe the next season will be more evenly balanced. But they had a tendency to I don't know, be so insecure about the points that they were trying to make that they kind of hammered them in. Because Thor has a hammer, you see. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, though, the story surrounding female Thor is actually, I enjoyed it. The notion that she has, terminal cancer, and the hammer would respond to that, and choose her under those circumstances really does work. It's just, subtlety, please. A little bit.
I
Might
mean,
help.
to be fair, comics are not good at subtlety.
Yeah, I
a lot of
know,
the time.
but they could be if they tried.
I mean, to be fair, this is the same company who decided that when this man gets angry, he will get very big and scary. So,
Well,
Also, somebody please tell me a good Hulk comic, because I'm afraid that none, exist. Because
There
most
was
Hulk
a-
comics
I
I've
hear-
read
I hear
are
some-
bad.
I hear some Debbie Red Planet Hulk.
Oh, that's the only one I've heard is good, is the thing.
There
And
was-
the thing that bothers me about Planet Hulk is that I know that it leads to World War Hulk, which is terrible.
So,
So,
I have a weird perspective on the Hulk because the only Hulk comics I read as a kid were the ones where he was actually smart and could talk and stuff. So when I
Oh yeah, like the one where he's a bouncer.
when I discovered the Hulk in my adult life and realized that that's not his default state, where Bruce Banner is the talky one and the Hulk just goes Hulk smash, I was very confused.
the Hulk is weird, man. Sometimes when he turns into the Hulk, he becomes like a gangster hitman and has his own crime ring in Las Vegas, and I'm actually not making any of that up. It's like Joe Fixit, I think is his name, or something like that. And the Hulk just for some reason becomes a mob boss when he turns into the Hulk, because
I'm imagining the Hulk now with
That's
his mustache from The Godfather.
That's
I'll
not-
make him an offer he can't.
that's
he
not
wears
the,
a full-on Al Capone outfit.
that's not the Incredible Hulk. That's launched from Dragon Ball.